artists who follow trends, and then there are those who create their own lane. Robert Palmer didn't just chase sound, he redefined it. With each era of his career, he tore off labels, broke expectations, and emerged with something bold, fresh, and unforgettable. His story isn't just about fame, it's about fearless reinvention. This is the story of Robert Palmer, a journey from quiet beginnings to becoming one of the most unique, genre-bending icons in music history. It's a story about a man who didn't just sing hits, he crafted soundscapes, moved through decades with style, and stayed ahead of the curve without ever losing himself. A start far from the spotlight. Robert Palmer was born in 1949 in Batley, a small town in West Yorkshire, England. His early years were marked by travel. His father worked with the Royal Navy, and that meant the family lived for a time in Malta. These formative years exposed young Robert to a variety of sounds, from American R&B to Caribbean rhythms. He wasn't just listening to music, he was absorbing it. Not long after returning to England, he began diving deep into the American soul and blues records that were making their way across the Atlantic. By the time he was a teenager, it was clear that Palmer wasn't interested in sounding like anyone else. He joined his first band at just 15, and though those early years were filled with small gigs and local crowds, they laid the foundation for a work ethic and curiosity that would later define his entire career. The hustle years. Before the fame. In the late 1960s and early 70s, Palmer jumped between several bands: the Alan Boone Set, Dada, and Vinegar Joe. These groups weren't chart toppers, but they were essential training grounds. With Vinegar Joe, Palmer shared vocals with Elkie Brooks and began to find his voice, both literally and artistically. Even then, his performances were marked by sharp style and controlled intensity. His voice, smooth yet gritty, soulful yet rock-ready, became his signature. Freakider. Solo breakthrough. A sound all his own. In 1974, Palmer launched his solo career with the album Sneakin' Sally Through the Alley. Recorded in New Orleans and featuring members of the legendary funk group The Meters, the album was a bold mix of funk, soul, and rock. It didn't follow commercial formulas, it followed his instincts. Critics loved it, fans started paying attention. And Palmer? He was just getting started. Over the next few years, he released a string of albums that didn't just blend genres, they blurred them entirely. Albums like Pressure Drop, Some People Can Do What They Like, and Double Fun were testaments to his refusal to be pinned down. He flirted with reggae, dabbled in electronic beats, and even introduced world music elements before it was fashionable. And then came the late 70s. Climbing to the Top, Bad Case of Loving You, and Beyond. In 1979, Palmer scored a major hit with Bad Case of Loving You, Doctor Doctor, a song that took his raspy vocals and set them against a sharp, punchy rock backdrop. It was raw, radio-friendly, and undeniably Palmer. This period marked a shift. He was no longer just an artist's artist. He was now reaching the masses. Rouse, The Power of Reinvention, Addicted to Love, and the MTV Era. In 1985, Palmer joined forces with John and Andy Taylor from Duran Duran to form the Power Station, a short-lived but influential supergroup. Their album went platinum, and suddenly, Palmer was on every screen and magazine cover in America. In 1986, he released Riptide, which featured Addicted to Love. The song was an explosive hit, topping charts worldwide and earning him a Grammy for Best Male Rock Vocal Performance. The accompanying music video became one of the most iconic visuals of the 1980s. Dressed in a sharp suit, Palmer delivered the song Deadpan, while a band of identically styled women in little black dresses played instruments behind him in robotic synchronization. It was bold, striking, unforgettable, but more than just visual spectacle, the song marked Palmer's perfect fusion of rock and pop, with just enough irony and edge to separate it from everything else on the charts. He followed it up with hits like I Didn't Mean to Turn You On and Simply Irresistible, both showcasing his ongoing musical evolution. He was no longer just crossing genres. He was defining them. Schakkerschrott. Style and substance. Palmer's image, sharp suits, perfectly styled hair, minimal movement, was often misread as calculated, but it was always authentic to who he was. Style, for him, wasn't separate from substance. It was a reflection of the music's discipline. And while many artists of the 80s faded with the decade, Palmer found ways to stay current without compromising. In the 90s, he returned to funk and soul influences, continued recording, and even explored jazz. His 1999 album, Rhythm and Blues, showed he still had the voice, the swagger, and the hunger to experiment. Legacy. The artist who never stopped evolving, Robert Palmer, passed away suddenly in 2003 at the age of 54. It was a shock to the music world and a profound loss, but what he left behind was more than just a list of hits. He left a roadmap for how to evolve without selling out, how to experiment without losing yourself, and how to build a career that never stopped moving forward. Cultural impact. Robert Palmer changed the way we think about style in music. He showed that an artist could be elegant without being distant, experimental without being inaccessible. He blurred the lines between mainstream and avant-garde. Addicted to Love became a defining symbol of the MTV generation. But even deeper than visuals, his music continues to influence artists across rock, pop, funk, and soul. You'll hear echoes of Palmer in artists who value versatility, who aren't afraid to take creative risks, who care as much about sound as they do about presentation. His fingerprints are everywhere, quiet but lasting. Robert Palmer's story isn't about one moment or one hit. It's about transformation, reinvention, and trusting your instincts, even when the industry wants you to play it safe. He proved that the real magic happens when you don't follow the rules, when you let the music lead. From the small town of Batley to the stages of the world, Palmer never lost the
screen. Here's a guy who spent all his life studying what to do in front of a camera, and at it, he comes alive in front of a microphone. I don't like looking at my being in front of the camera. I don't like my own appearance.
Core of who he was, an artist in constant motion, chasing not fame, but truth in sound. If Robert Palmer's incredible journey inspired you, can you state, like, share, and subscribe to my channel LMS Music, and check out my playlist for more great videos. Until next time, keep the music playing.